Can I ask you a question? When was the last time you listened to yourself? Not to Google, not to AI, not your mother, not your spouse, not your friend, not social media, not even your therapist. You. When was the last time you stopped and asked, what do I think? What do I want? What feels true for me? I think many of us knew how to do that as children. Then life happened. We wanted to belong, we got hurt, we got judged, and little by little, we started listening to everyone else and stopped listening to ourselves. And I wonder how much of our stress, confusion, and feeling stuck comes from forgetting to ask ourselves what we really think and want. Maybe healing is not about becoming someone new. Maybe it's about letting go of the fear, hurt, and old stories that made us forget who we were in the first place. In this week's episode 113 of Baggage Began Healing Hearts and Minds, we are exploring what happened to us, why so many of us stopped listening to ourselves, and how we can find our way back. I would love for you to join me this week. Before you go, I would like to ask you a question. Last question. When was the last time you really listened to your heart, to yourself? Maybe the greatest baggage we carry is not what happened to us. Maybe it's the belief that we have to ignore ourselves to belong. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Baggage Began Healing Hearts and Minds. I'm Tammy and I'm so happy you're here. First, before we start, I want to ask you a question. When was the last time you stopped and asked, what do I think? What do I feel? What do I want? What feels right for me right now? And take a moment and please really think about that, because I have a feeling that many of us knew exactly how to do that as children. Then they forgot, because guess what's happened? Life happened. We wanted people to like us. That's anyways what I did. We wanted to fit in. We didn't want to disappoint anyone. And then we got hurt, we got judged, we got criticized, and little by little we stopped listening to ourselves and started listening to everyone else. And I wonder how much of our stress, confusion, and feeling stuck comes from forgetting to ask ourselves what we really want, what we really think and feel. Today, I would like to explore that with you, not because I have all the answers, but because I think many of us are asking the same questions, and when we don't have the answers, we think someone else has the answers, and then we feel stuck. So, when did we stop listening to ourselves? And I think this question is wonderful to just have the awareness, because we want to find our way back. And how do we find our way back? Now, the problem. When was the last time, let's say, I'll give you an example. Do you remember those moments when someone asks you, what do you want to eat? And your answer is, I don't care. That's anyways how I answer, because I don't want to offend anyone. Or what movie do you want to watch? I don't care, whatever movie. Where do you want to go? Whatever you want. Maybe sometimes we really don't care. But maybe there is another part. We've spent so much time making everyone else comfortable that we have stopped checking in with ourselves. I see this all the time, and I used to be the same way. People tell me, I don't know what I want anymore. They text me, what do you think I want? Or I don't know what's right. I don't know who I am. And honestly, I totally understand. I was there too. I think this happens to more people than we realize, because we stopped trusting ourselves. We think everyone else knows. We think the answers are outside ourselves. And if you remember, when we were little children, if you observe them, you're going to see a child doesn't wake up wondering, should I laugh today? Should I sing? Should I dance? Should I tell people what I think? You know why? because children simply do. They listen to their heart. They create just because. They imagine, they laugh, they cry, they ask questions, they're curious, and they're honest. Then, you know when they change? The first time that they feel criticized, when someone laughs at us. When was the time do you think that we changed? For me, it was when someone laughs at me, when someone criticizes me. When someone tells us we are too sensitive, we are too loud, we are too much, we're too emotional, too quiet, too sensitive. That's what they used to tell me. You are too sensitive. Then we feel that we are not enough. Maybe we learned that being accepted was safer than being ourselves. Maybe we learned that keeping the peace at all costs was better than speaking our truth and being congruent with ourselves. Maybe we learned that making everyone else happy was more important than asking ourselves what we wanted. Maybe the biggest baggage we carry is not what happened to us. Maybe it's the belief that we have to ignore ourselves to belong today. Because we are human, we just adapted. We became very good at reading other people, reading the room, what other people think and want. And I'm sure if I ask you, you know what your family needs. We know what our spouse wants. We know what our boss expects. We know what our friends are thinking. But somewhere along the line, we forgot what we want. Many of us stopped asking ourselves, what do I need? What do I want? What do I think? There is no pause. There is no quiet moment to figure all of it. I don't believe this happens because we are weak or we are stupid or we don't know. I think it happens because we want to belong. Every human being wants to be loved so much, to be accepted, to feel safe. And because we didn't get that, sometimes without even realizing it, we trade little pieces of ourselves for the feeling of belonging, the crumbs, the little pieces that other people can give us. And in the midst of it, we lose who we are. We lose our spark, our gifts, our contribution. We forget that we are part of this creation. We forget that we are part of God, and we close our hearts. So, starting with one small compromise at a time, we shrink ourselves until one day someone asks us, what do you want? And we honestly don't know. And that's what's happened to me. That's why I had to do the soul searching and get to where I am today. I think we live one of the noisiest time in history. Do you agree? Because if you look at that, everyone has advice. Everyone has an opinion. Someone tells us what to eat. If you look at social media, you're going to see all these recipes. Someone tells us how to raise our children. Someone tells us how to build a business. Someone tells us how to heal. Someone tells us how to be successful, to be happy. We open our phones and thousands of voices compete for our attention every single moment. And now we can ask AI almost anything. And here I need to be careful not to do that because I ask AI to edit, but when I ask for real information, I don't get the accurate one, so watch out for that. Don't get me wrong, I think technology is amazing. I use it too, but I've been wondering something. Have we become so busy listening to everyone else's wants and needs and opinions that we have forgotten to listen to ourselves, to our heart, to this pure heart that at some point as children we knew what's right for us? We knew what's right and wrong for us. Maybe the problem is not that we don't have enough information. Maybe the problem is that we have so much noise that we cannot hear our own voices anymore, our hearts. And maybe, just maybe, healing is not about fixing ourselves anymore. Maybe it's about letting go of the fear, hurt, and old stories, baggage that made us forget who we really truly are. And I encourage you to pause and have this new awareness and pay attention. Maybe that's where we are. Maybe we are not stuck. Maybe that's what's blocking our success, our abundance, our relationships. Just touching our hearts and asking what I want with this pure heart that we were born with. And along the way, we just close our hearts. Now, you may ask, how did we get here? So I want to take this conversation one step further, because maybe you're listening and thinking, Tammy, I understand what you're saying. I don't feel disconnected from myself. I just ask everyone else what they think before I ask myself. But how did it happen? I think that's a beautiful question. And I don't think there is one answer. That now as children it was okay to be curious, honest, and excited, but now as an adult we want to be perfect and belong, so we can't show weakness. Maybe we can't tap into this free resource that is our heart, and we need other outside experts to tell us who we are. And maybe we can stop for a moment and explore together how we can find our way back to our pure heart, where we started, where we were authentic, when we were congruent, our intention, thoughts, words, and behaviors, actions were one, not so confused that we needed to ask AI or other people outside ourselves, and we can come back and feel confident. So where do we go from here? If we have spent years listening to everyone else, how do we begin listening to ourselves again? And I was wondering too, that's why I wrote this episode, because I missed painting just because. I miss talking to people just because, not because I need something or want something. I miss cooking without asking everyone, what do you want to eat? And asking my heart, tapping into this internal resource. My heart never lies. What do you want, Tammy? What is good for you? What do you want to wear? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What do you want to say? What do you want to write about? Who do you want to go out with? And I wish I could tell you there was one simple answer. And there is. Ask your heart. I wish I could tell you that one day you wake up and suddenly know exactly who you are and exactly what to do. But I don't think healing works that way, because I learned that healing is not linear. I think healing happens one moment at a time, and it's a process, and it happens when you have awareness, and then you have acceptance, and then you take the action. And the acceptance happens with your heart, tapping into your heart, using your 5 senses to go back to the seed, the root of who you are. And it's happened in your heart when you start trusting yourself and asking your heart, my beautiful heart, what do you want? And if you cannot tap into your heart, it's because there is somewhere along the way that you didn't forget yourself and other people, and you feel the blockages that you cannot tap and find the answers in your heart. And if you need, tap into one of my forgiveness meditation, podcasts, YouTube videos, and let go of this resentment, anger, and hurt. And if you cannot do it by yourself, I encourage you, if you like to dive deeper, to give me a call so we can discuss how we can do it together. So I've been thinking about something. I wonder if part of the problem is that we have become so used to asking everyone else for answers that we really forgotten to ask ourselves, to think for ourselves. So next time, before asking the world what we should do, I want you to tap into your heart and ask yourself, what do you want? Because I'm not sure what you do. I wake up early morning now in the last few months, and I just sit with God quietly and ask for what I want. So how often do you sit quietly and take your question and ask yourself and your heart, what do you want? What do you really think? What feels true to you? What brings you peace? What choices allow you to respect yourself, to love yourself, to do the things that you really like? Because I don't believe our hearts give us every answer all at once, because sometimes there are information in our subconscious mind that blocking our heart to tell us the information because it might be perceived as dangerous. Our heart helps us discover the next honest step if we are open to that. Sometimes the answer is not this, sometimes it's try that, sometimes it's wait a little longer. So wait for it, don't rush. Because one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves is learning to become quiet enough to hear those answers. And sometimes they take time, so you want to ask God for clarity, not because our hearts are not perfect, it's because we are not ready. And also because we have spent so much of our lives listening to everyone else's opinions, suggestions, that our own voices deserve a place in the conversation too, but it's take time to trust ourselves. I also think there is something else that gets in the way of hearing ourselves. It's the baggage that we are carrying, all these disappointments, hurts, fears, stories, resentment, sometimes even old version of ourselves that we have outgrown, but we're still so afraid to let it go. Remember, healing is not about fixing ourselves at all. Maybe it's about letting go of all this baggage. And I talked to you about that. I found that forgiveness has been a big part of that journey for me, and I really empower you to be courageous and find your voice. And maybe most important, we create room to let go by forgiving and create room for peace, room for quiet time with gratitude and joy, because joy will help you, joy will guide you to tap into your heart. And maybe most importantly, to create room to hear yourself. Every time, start creating the space to listen to your heart, to listen to yourself. Because I don't think we need to figure out the rest of our lives today. And I don't think any of us need to have all the answers right now. I don't think we need to figure out the rest of our lives right now. But maybe it's time to tap into our heart and be like children that are innocent and trusting ourselves and our hearts. Maybe we only need enough courage to ask ourselves better questions each time. And maybe that's where healing begins, not by becoming someone else and becoming perfect and people-pleasing, but by making a little more space for our own voices to choose new choices that are empowering, that are courageous, that are helping someone else to see how we can tap into our heart and they can do the same thing. If this conversation speaks to you and you would like to explore these ideas more deeply, I have recorded many episodes about forgiveness, boundaries, intuition, people-pleasing, and healing that can support you on your own journey. Please go look for them, because I truly believe that little by little, by making one honest choice at a time, we can really all find our way back to ourselves, to our voices, to our hearts. And as we finish today, I would like to leave you with a few questions just for you to have the awareness of how much you trust yourself. And from now on, ask your heart, when was the last time I really listened to myself? What am I saying yes to when I really meant to say no? What dream have I put aside because I was afraid of what people will think of me? I invite you to sit quietly with these questions of who you are, what do you want, what do you need for this journey to share your gift and your contributions, because you are whole, you are perfect in the eye of God. Remember, you are part of creation, and the more you tap in your heart, the more you're gonna be able to heal all these pieces that feel broken and not good enough, and you will gain confidence and be able to tap into your own voice when you don't know what to do, so you will never feel stuck again. I really think healing means having a courage to ask better questions and trusting that one small action that you will take each time will find your way to make better choices for you. I'm grateful to you for being here. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for staying until the end. If you didn't subscribe to this channel, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Until next time, please take good care of yourself and remember to listen to your heart, because the baggage you have carried may be part of your story, but it doesn't have to decide how you live your present or your future time. I will see you next time, sending you love and light. This is Tammy Mahmali. If you're curious and want to dive deeper, you are in the right space. I ask you to look within for all the things that you want to do, be, and have. Join me at the Baggage Begun Healing Hearts and Minds podcast with new episodes every Wednesday as we discover the path towards healing and transformation.